being inaugurated as President of the United States. He said, it's a great country, and it's full of opportunity. You just have to go out and seize it. So, to your point, both of my parents, one was from here, one was from Colorado. My dad, I'm the fourth generation from Colorado.
Wow.
We moved back there, got, part forcibly marched and part kind of, made our way into the southern part of California or Colorado back in the 1860s. And that's where I'm from. Now, both of these parents, PhDs in education, and I chuckle because I just got my first honorary doctorate. I'm receiving another one in a couple of weeks.
Congratulations.
And I tease my mother and say, I don't know who had the harder road to get there. Because as you know, PhDs are very hard, but the road of life is quite difficult. But I just remember growing up in, call it recently desegregated schools in Denver, and you grew up in a predominantly black neighborhood. There was a Japanese family that lived around the corner, and I know why they lived there. If you think about, how they were, Japanese Americans were treated during the war, et cetera. But we had our own grocery stores and own doctors, and I lived next to the lieutenant governor of the state who was black, state senator who was a representative who was black. But I looked at how we lived, and I said, everyone tells me education is the key, and it wasn't bad, but I could tell the kids who I went to school with lived a whole lot differently than we did, and none of their parents had PhDs, right? So I said, there's a gap here, and I wanted to understand what that was. So that's what led me to actually think about, what is it? It isn't just education. That's a part of it. There's no question. But it's access to opportunity, access to mentorship, access to know-how. And it gets back into that intellectual property piece. It's knowledge. And I tell people in America, we have really 6 exports. All of them are intellectual property based at the end of the day. It's knowledge and insights and information that if you don't have that, no matter, in some respects, how much capital, how much desire you have, it's going to be hard for you to move along the wealth chain and expand the opportunity set for yourself and your family.
How did you internalize the residential segregation piece of that? The fact that everybody who was African American was situated in the same neighborhood.
Yeah. When you were a kid, you don't notice it, right? You get out and you play with kids, and you get on a bus and for an hour to go to a school. And I went there at first grade, so I was one of the first kids so that's all I knew. And now I'm in one of only 2 African Americans typically in my classroom. And those kids play just like us, act just like they ate different food than us, in some respects. But you didn't start to notice it until years later when you started getting invited to parties, right? And back when I was growing up, a birthday party was you get to invite one friend because you got 22 cousins, and there's a cake your mom made, and that was it, right? Well, you go to these parties, and there's a whole different deal. And then you started to really understand that they had a different level of wealth. But then when you talk to their parents weren't any more educated, okay, and didn't work anywhere as near as hard as mine. And I said, well, something's just amiss. And I couldn't quite reconcile that. Until much later in life when you start realizing about access to opportunity.
Right.
Yeah.